Welcome to Small Cap Nation. I'm Jane King at the NASDAQ market site in Times Square. We're seeing a global sell-off to start off the new year right out of the gate. Chinese stocks fell 7% on disappointing manufacturing numbers, and trading was actually halted there. Also, oil prices rising as tensions increase between Saudi Arabia and Iran. The Saudi embassy in Tehran was stormed after the Saudis executed people considered to be terrorists, including a Shiite cleric that Iran warned should not be killed. Now, the markets last year kind of were ho-hum. The Dow was down 2% for the year, the S&P down a fraction. The NASDAQ, though, did close out the year with a nearly 6% gain. Well, small cap exchange-traded funds that track the value style are finally beginning to rally. They started at the end of the year last year. So in the last 2 weeks of 2015, the iShares S&P Small Cap 600 Value Index gained 2.5%. The iShares Russell 2000 Value Index was up more than 2%. Meanwhile, the iShares Core S&P Small Cap ETF up 2%, and the Russell 2000 iShares ETF was up about 2% as well. Now, in contrast, the iShares Core S&P Mid Cap ETF added 1.6%, while the SPDR S&P 500 returned 1%. Small cap stocks largely underperformed last year, with IWM down 2.3%, but as we head into a new year, it may finally be time for the small caps to push ahead. Observers argue that due to their domestic focus, small caps could be better insulated from these macroeconomic forces like the Middle East and China, and that could also affect their larger peers. Well, Pandora stock could fall another 20%, according to Barron's. The influential financial magazine makes the case that internet radio pioneer Pandora could get left behind in the music streaming business as bigger and better funded competitors join the game. Those competitors would be Apple Music as well as Spotify. Well, lots of small cap companies making news as we head back to work in 2016. So here's a look at today's small cap wrap. Anadigic says an unidentified party offered 68 cents a share for the company. Fifth Street Finance says one of its investors reported a 6.5% stake in the business. ITT Education says it's in its best interest to retain Modani as the CEO of the company. Sagent okayed the sale of its China division, and TG Therapeutics will sell up to $178 million worth of stock. Acadia Healthcare said it was buying a private behavioral healthcare service provider in the United Kingdom for about $1.89 billion. That includes debt. Priory Group is a behavioral health science provider with about 300 facilities and 7,200 beds. The transaction is expected to add 38.42 cents per share to Acadia's annual earnings, according to the company. And the founders of Lyft, the ride-hailing service, have long imagined that the future of transportation would involve fewer cars on the road. Well, now General Motors helping the startup reach that goal. Lyft announced that GM invested $500 million in the company, or half of its latest $1 billion venture financing round. The funding, which recently closed, values Lyft, which is based in San Francisco, at $4.5 billion.